This is the Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell, on Alternative Talk, AM 1150. Now, back to the show with local mortgage and finance expert, Tina Mitchell.
Welcome back to the Money Hour with your host and mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell, right here on 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, August 23rd show. I'm empowering our community, providing you with opportunities and solutions when it comes to everything regarding your money. If you're hearing my show at a different time or day, you're listening to a rebroadcast, but you can always call the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com. And I can connect you with any of the guests that I have in studio today. And in studio right now, Debra Trappen, founder of D11 Consulting, keys to ignite your life and your business goals. If you're out there listening, whether you're a female or not, but Debra and I being females, it's nice to give some great advice for the female business owners or entrepreneurs out there. But I guess for you guys, you can hang in as well and learn something. Debra, this is her expertise. She's a coach and she's a speaker. She personally helps me out with the Money Hour in my social media presence and really dialing in on a bigger level as a female entrepreneur myself. And so it's always a pleasure to have her in studio. Debra, thank you so much for coming in.
My pleasure. Love to be here with you, Tina.
And you guys will have to look on the red site. She is a firecracker. And I say firecracker, she's got bright red hair, beautiful gal, and just a lot of fun to be around. And a little bit about Debra. Debra is the owner and chief experience creator at D11 Consulting. The D11 mission is partnering with women in business and companies who want to connect with them and build engaging brands online. Her passion is ignited with helping her clients get to the core of their personal brand to build a business and life that they love. Debra is a frequent speaker, blogger, and social ambassador for conferences and organizations. Debra, again, it's just always a pleasure to have you here. And I just appreciate so much that you've done for me and the continued relationship that we have. And I have so much passion myself as an entrepreneur, you being an entrepreneur, and just sharing this information because I think a lot of people, business owners or people that are thinking of being business owners, aren't taking this first step. And I think this is really where they should start in that process. Do you agree?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So let's start out with, when you talk about honesty, is this being honest with yourself, or what are we being honest with that can help in this area?
Sure. Well, when you're thinking about keys to really igniting your business and life goals, you have to first kind of think, what are my goals? Mm-hmm. What are those things that I want to accomplish? And what I find so often with friends and clients is that they have the same goal on their list for years.
Okay.
And so the first key is being honest with yourself. Is that really your goal?
Uh-huh.
Is that your parents' goal? Is it your spouse's or your best friend's goal? Does somebody else plant a seed that you should write that book, or that you should start your own business, or whatever it is? Mm-hmm. Because I think that when it's something we really want to do, that we prioritize it. So it's sense. Just go through and take inventory of what is on that list. And if you keep moving it over quarter to quarter, year to year, mm-hmm. Have a come to Jesus at this point.
Take a relook and see if it really is a goal that you want to do.
Exactly.
Makes total sense. So it's important for everyone to have their own values and to really put a lot of thought into those. And you can have them listed on your website, but really you need to live and practice them in your everyday business and to be a part of your core. So how do you use your values as a guide?
So I think of values as your compass for making mm-hmm. decisions. And so if family is a big value for you, you know that if you're deciding between going to an open house or a showing or going to a baseball game, you know which one is going to feel right.
Sure.
And it's the same with your goals. So when you're setting up your goals, if you know that you want to spend more time with your family this year, then you build that into your structure and you get intentional with it. So you can actually take your value words, the exercise that we've actually gone through,
mm-hmm.
Finding those 10 words, what are they? And building those into the core of how you're setting your goals. then they actually get done.
Yeah, it makes total sense. And you should be re-looking and analyzing and seeing where changes need to be made, correct?
Right. Well, and the thing is, I think our core values stay the same. I think our core values stay somewhat the same. I think they just change in priority. You know, when you're raising young kids, family might be towards the top. When you're empty nesting, adventure might be a little bit farther towards the top of your list. So you can reprioritize where you're spending that time. But in order to live your values, they have to be part of your goals.
Yep, makes total sense. So what about getting visual?
Getting visual. Okay, so here's something. I love social media, obviously, since it's something that I do personally. I build my business with it. And remember when, back in the 80s, they had that justification for higher education poster.
Yes.
And it had like the big mansion with a gorgeous pool. And there was like a Ferrari and a Lamborghini and a Corvette, like the vision board, right?
Yes.
I think that we've lost track of doing that. We're moving so fast, we don't actually slow down and pin up what our vision is. And now we've got a great tool called Pinterest.
Yes.
That allows us to build a vision board where, if we're feeling like, gosh, I just need a jolt in my, what I'm doing today, that I'm going somewhere, is to go to the internet, find a couple of images that represent that island you want to buy or you want to take your family on vacation to, and pin it. Get visual with it. It gives your brain something to work towards.
Yeah. And I think that's important, Debra, and as well, I think it's important when you have kids to go through that process with your children, and that will help in, because how fun is that when you're putting together, you've got the visualization and you've got a place that you want to see your family and you're getting input from your kids and they're doing it as well. I mean, what a blessing to help your kids get into that habit.
Sure, absolutely.
So you talk also about framing each goal as a positive statement. Can you give me and give my listeners an example of that?
Yes, this is actually one of my favorites of the keys, because I think so often we tend to make our goals with negative terms.
Okay.
So I'll give you the number one goal we all know that happens every January 1st is I want to lose 20 pounds.
Yes.
I mean, it's just losing weight is something that everyone has on their list. And so what this does is it switches that. Instead of talking about losing weight, you want to say, this year I'm going to start living healthier so that I have more energy with my children. I can run through the park with my grandkids. Frame it and give yourself those moments that you're going to experience when you actually do shed that weight. But don't look at it as though you're losing something. Look at what it's gaining.
Makes total sense. And I always say, too, that have some integrity with yourself and what you want, what you're visualizing, and be realistic, because we have to start somewhere. And sometimes you can't say that I am, because you're not and you don't feel it. And you don't feel that you can even accomplish it at that early stage. So if you can start lower and just go, you know what, I can do this, and continue to build up. And I think that's important as well. So, Debra, what about everyone needs to step back and, as you would say, check yourself? What do you advise someone to do?
Well, I think one of the things that we don't do for ourselves is hold ourselves accountable very well. And with goals, you have to have accountability check-ins. And so get it on your calendar. Put it on your calendar and say, I'm going to sit down with myself and I'm going to look at these and I'm going to get real with myself. Again, make sure that I'm being honest with myself. So I'm going to go back to number one with this. And then remembering that you're not in competition with anyone else.
Sure.
This is about you and the life you're creating for yourself, and motivate yourself from that perspective. Don't compare yourself with anyone. Be your best self. Make the best decision starting in that moment.
So what about a leader of a company, Debra, when you've got, because both of us have people that, that work underneath us, and when you're a leader of a company and you have these goals, are you setting yourself accountable with your team as well, that you're meeting those? Is that something that you advise your students to do, or what is your advice there?
Absolutely. I think that especially when you have a team environment, letting everyone know what the ultimate goals are in your business goals in particular, but you can even bring them into your life goals. If you are trying to get healthier, that healthier lifestyle, hold some of your meetings while taking a walk.
That's a great idea.
And so there's certain ways that you can infuse those goals into both areas. And who doesn't want to get a little sunshine when it's nice here and get a little exercise?
Yeah, we could have got lots of exercise this summer. I don't know how much longer it's going to last. But so, Debra, can you talk about creating SMART goals?
Sure. This is not something I've created. This is something that I learned years ago. But it's specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and time framed.
Okay.
And, anyone listening can go onto Bing or Google and just search for SMART goals. And there's all sorts of great resources and tools out there. Look at your goals and make sure that they match each one of those. Again, specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and time framed.
Makes sense. So you also coach your students to celebrate successes and to keep themselves motivated and rewarded.
Absolutely. I think when we crush milestones, we tend to, especially as entrepreneurs, automatically start going for the next thing. And we're like, okay, that's done now. Now what? Instead of slowing down and giving yourself a little something, whether it's, a mani-pedi day or a little long weekend away, whatever it might be, do something that actually recognizes it so that your mind knows, okay, when I accomplish a goal, I get a reward. Yeah. It'll start to build the habit of actually accomplishing goals because your brain knows I'm going to be rewarded when I accomplish this.
Yeah, that's a great idea, Debra. And business women finding clarity and vision, are there exercises that they can do? Because this is a hard thing, I think, for especially women.
Yeah, you know what? I think writing things down, if there's one exercise I could say under clarity is write them down and then say, here, my one step that I'm going to take next is this. And just start with that. I think sometimes we tend to go, crazy with writing out lists.
Yeah.
So just write down what that goal is and what's one thing that you can do to accomplish it and just focus on that because that allows, again, your brain to focus on something.
Okay.
And you get a little bit closer every one step you take instead of trying to plan it all.
Makes total sense. And Debra, you obviously know my personal my core 3 personal values or practices, which is dream, learn to fail, and be alert. So on learn to fail, because I know for you, when you talk about with your clients, someone falls short or they fail and they talk about, you talk about giving themselves grace. Explain that.
Oh, I love to use the term shame off you.
Okay.
Because we all fall down. We all fail. But if we focus on failing forward and recognize that it takes commitment, it takes determination, and it takes time to do goals, and that we're human. We will fail. Just if we can stop and not fear the failure and embrace the failure as though this is a lesson I'm learning. How am I going to be able to use this in the future and not sinking down? That's the grace part. Just give yourself grace. You wouldn't yell at your 5-year-old self for making a mistake.
Sure.
So why would you yell at your 35 or 40-year-old self?
Makes sense. I just say life is balance. Remember that because you have to have the failures. And when you fail, you're not starting. When you start over, you're not starting from square one because you've already gotten that much further. Right. So you just keep pushing a little bit further and eventually you'll get to your success. Yes. Debra, the people that you surround yourself around can make or break you. And you would attract who you are. So obviously if you don't like your space, maybe you need to think about who you're around.
Yeah. There's all sorts of, formulas that you hear out there. You are the sum of the 5 people you spend most time with is one of the most famous. I just look at it as though I surround myself with champions and things that are important to me. Again, I go back to my values.
Sure.
People who are adventurous, who are positive thinkers, who are dreaming and building towards something. They don't have to be, the Bill Gates success story. They need to be moving towards something and not sitting somewhere. And that the saying, don't expect to see positive changes in a life when you're surrounding yourself with negative people is so true.
Yep. And I think too, the people that were around, my closest people, I'm always getting inspired by them. I mean, there's always things that are coming back. So look at the people and go, what was the last time that something that they did inspired or gave me an idea? And that's where life really gets exciting is connecting ourselves with those powerful people that are powerful to us and are like what we are. So last question before we take it to break, Debra, who you are as a person and how you feel about yourself is everything. You say to live with integrity.
Absolutely. I think it's simply be true to your word. When you make a goal, stick to it. It feels good. It'll keep you moving forward.
Great advice, Debra. Thank you so much again for the time and have you hang around and we'll bring you back in the third segment.
Fantastic. Thanks so much.
Coming up next in the Money Hour, it's all about the skill of negotiation. How important in today's real estate market? Well, I think it's everything. Erin Peterson with Windermere right here on 1150 AM KKNW after the short break.